to start. Well, good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Sam. How's it going?
It is going awesome today. Been one of those days. Well, for the most part, except for the banking things we talked about earlier, but that's just part of life anymore.
Yeah,
So, but we talked about change and stuff like that last week, and uh, we talked this morning, and it's like if you change your habits, you're going to change your life. You
right,
know, we both have subscribed to and listened to and read books like Atomic Habits and Tiny Habits and things like that.
right.
And it's basically simple, but most of us won't do it.
It's almost like it's too simple,
Yeah, yeah,
but habits are very deeply ingrained.
hmm.
And well, think of anyone that's tried quitting smoking.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Been
it,
there.
it's rarely the first time,
Hmm.
the first try that works.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
my son tried for years and
yeah,
finally I think part about changing your habits is you have to be in a position where you are willing and wanting to change the
yeah,
habit, not
yeah.
not so much because you're being told you have to.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. You look at the smoking side of it. I smoked for years. Did uh, uh, smokeless tobacco for years, and when I finally quit smoking, I was 2 cans of chew and 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, can you imagine how expensive that would be today? So
Oof.
this was, is insane. So, um, wow, almost it was over 20 years ago. Wow. Anyway, um, uh, I was being promoted, and I was going to a different restaurant facility,
Mhm.
and the owner and I had decided in Cowboy Town, Cheyenne,
Yeah.
that we were going to open up that restaurant as a non-smoking restaurant.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
Yep. And so they had just passed some sort of, I don't know, some sort of ordinance you could have, but we decided no smoking. And so I'm thinking, okay, I've got a couple months here. Um, I'm not going to be able to smoke, you
Yeah.
know. And so anyway, long story short, I quit before I went down there, and it was best thing I ever did. Um, and so, but it's right, it's a habit. For me, it was one of those. Um, Well, what I did, and the simple things, the little things. The first thing I did when I moved to Cheyenne, when I rented an apartment, was a non-smoking apartment. So, and the weather in Cheyenne. I moved down
Yeah.
there in February, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, we did March, so
Yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah. So, but in Casper, I'm preparing to go, and if I want a cigarette, I got to go out to the truck and start the truck. And well, but see, I didn't smoke in my truck.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those, okay, I mean, I'll wait till I get to work, and still I would go through that many cigarettes at work and then afterwards, but working in a restaurant bar and stuff like that anyway, I'm not making excuses. But it was hard because I was around cigarette smoke all the time.
Right.
Um, but it was just one of those, and I did it cold turkey. I didn't do any patches or anything like that. So basically, uh, I'm not saying I didn't not have a cigarette from time to time, but as I went through it, I decided number one, I wasn't going to feel guilty if I had a cigarette. I'm trying to break a horrible habit, and it's one baby step at a time.
Right.
Um, so I kind of set one of my bartenders up, and we smoked the same brand of cigarette. I gave her a pack of cigarettes and a pack of matches. I said, "You owe me 20 smokes and 20 lights." so so I didn't have to worry about bumming a cigarette, right? And so that was just a little change. And then um, uh, she was one of these kind of a little bit OCD, so she kept track of everything. And I didn't get through the 20 cigarettes, which is fine, but it was one little habit at a time. You know, the first thing uh, when I picked got my truck, I decided not smoking in this truck. I smoked in the last vehicle I had. It was horrible. When I went to trade it in, it lowered the value and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I didn't smoke in the truck. Um, and then, like I said, rent a non-smoking apartment. Um, and do those kind of steps. So those are small steps, but it's the forward thinking. You know, I taught one of my church youth groups on the book Atomic Habits. And with my health conditions, the congestive heart failure, one of the things I need to do, and one thing is to hydrate first thing in the morning. So I struggled with that because I would get up, I'd go downstairs, I'd make a lot of coffee. All right.
Coffee's not hydrating.
No, not at all. So, I thought about,
Neither is what I drink in the morning. So
yeah, yeah. And so what's the one thing, what little thing could I do the night before um, to wake up and begin to hydrate with water? And actually this cup is 24 32 ounces, I don't know. So at night I fill it up with ice, and then I put water on top of it. It's got lemon oil in it. And through the night, when I wake up, I'll drink a little bit of water, but when I get up first thing in the morning, I've got my lemon water,
right there.
and I'm ready to go. And so I don't have to fool around looking for the meds I'm supposed to take in the morning. I have them all set out the night before. So that little habit change of making the water the night before,
Yep.
it's just something simple. And so it changed my whole process for starting my day and starting out hydrating, because I'll drink probably 8 to 10 ounces of this first thing in the morning, and it's still cold.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, because you've got one of those
Yep.
Yetis, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. With my Eagles logo on it.
There you go.
And so it's just the little things.
And oh, there's an echo.
I don't hear it.
Oh, I do. Good. Um, when you're talking about changing habits, I think a lot of people see it as just stopping doing something.
Mhm,
But then you need to replace that
mhm.
with something else,
Right. Right.
because it's usually, even if it's not a big activity, it's usually something that you're physically doing.
Yep.
And so, like when my dad quit smoking, he quit cold turkey. He had been, I don't know, 5 packs a day since he was 9 years old.
Mhm.
Um, and mom used to make breakfast for him every morning, bacon and eggs, and he wasn't smoking anymore. So he was trading cigarettes for
Yep.
food, and he
For
gained
food.
quite a bit of weight that first year.
Mhm.
Um, and mom was like, well, let's replace it with something healthier.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And people wonder, well, why would you gain weight when you quit smoking? Because you're replacing it with something. And with smoking, it's oral and
Mhm.
it's your hands.
Your
So
hands. Yeah.
it's very easy to replace it with food, because kind of the
Mhm.
same motion, right?
Right. Right.
And be selective about what you fill that time with. That
Right.
you can't just make a hole of time
Mhm. Yeah.
in your day, because like they said, universe loves a vacuum.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Choose what you're going to fill it with. So,
Right. 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 Right.
and I think what my son did the last time when he quit smoking was, anytime he felt like he needed a cigarette, he would, I don't know, I think he cleaned or he did something to keep his hands busy.
Right. Right.
And it's a lot harder to smoke at work these days.
Yeah.
So,
It is. It is.
It's not like I remember the days when people were sitting in their office with the door shut, smoking, and
with a
you
cigarette.
open the
Yep,
door
me
and the
too.
smoke would come rolling out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. I worked for a food service company, and this was back in the '80s, late '80s. They decided they
Yeah,
were going to go non-smoking. They got a big break on their insurance and everything else, and so you had to go outside to smoke.
yeah.
Well, this was in Rapid City, South Dakota. It gets cold out there, so some of the employees thought, okay, well, we're going to build a little lean-to shelter type thing, right? It was attached to the building. It fell under the no smoking guidelines. It was hilarious, and so,
Oh dear.
anyway, it was just one of those, so they had to, quit doing that, and most of them ended up going to their cars, but, yeah, I remember, yeah, for years, you could just, and a lot of times, smoking and non-smoking restaurant, sections in restaurants and smoking
We're
in
right
public
next to each other.
right next to each other. Yeah, there's no getting away from it, and the odor eaters really don't work. The new ones do. They do nowadays. But habits are just so. Like with me, one thing I went through a lot of toothpicks, um, and then it became one of those that just doesn't really look good in the restaurant. So I
Yeah.
just made myself a little busier. But one of the things I did, that's probably when I started journaling a little bit more,
Mm,
because those first couple cigarettes in the morning, even when I was going outside to smoke and things like that, were just that was, so now there's I have my coffee. What do I do with the other hand, right? And so I did that was one thing one time when I started, writing out plans, writing out some things um and I that was pre really into my journey as far as personal growth and development and things like that. So I really didn't know. I think probably my guideline was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? And
right. Yeah.
and, and that was a good book, but unfortunately, um, yeah, we don't want to go there. But I have what I'm going through now is James Clear's Atomic Habits. Have you done that, or have you done Tiny Habits, or
I've
have you
done
done?
both, but it's been a while since I've read them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They're basically the same concept from two
right,
different authors, you know.
right.
It's the little things, and it's the little things you can build on. So you do building blocks in order to get to the primary habit that you want. So for example, if somebody out there, if you want to write a book, but you don't know where to start, well, if you're writing, then you've started, right?
Right.
And
If you're
so if you set
journaling,
aside,
if you're making notes,
yep, yep,
yeah,
yeah. And so, but then you have to build on that. So if you say, okay, I really want to write the first 5 minutes in the morning, first 20 minutes, first 30, whatever, that's a big task.
yeah,
So where do you start? Well, I'm going to put my pen and my notebook out the night before. Um, and maybe to build on that, you write the topic that you want to talk about. But those little things of setting yourself up for success, rather than to jump right in. You know, I think about the athletic side of it. If you decide today to run a marathon, you are not going out and running 26 miles,
nope,
20, 26 and a half miles to be precise, I guess. So how do you get there? Well, it's one step at a time, right?
uh,
And so you set your plan up, and it has to be. He was talking about not marathon, but the exercise side of it. How do you get into that routine? Well, you set your stuff out the night before. You have your plan written the night before, or if you're doing a weekly plan, you have everything written out in little small increments, and then you build upon those increments. You're running a marathon, you need to start off at a certain distance, and then build
yeah,
upon that, build upon that, and build upon that, and then you get to a place where you can do a marathon.
right.
and it's not. People say, well, I'm not a morning person. I am, but I've had folks tell me I'm just not a morning person. Well, why are you not a morning person? Well, I like to sleep in. Okay. What time do you go to bed at night? Well, I go to bed midnight, 1 o'clock. Well, yeah, you're not a morning person. you know, yeah, you go to bed midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You're not a morning person. Now, I used to do that when I ran restaurants. Go to bed at after everything shut down. The bar would always close at 2, so it was usually at least 3 o'clock before I got to bed,
Right.
and that was anywhere from 1 to 5 nights a week. And the downside to it is my internal clock has me up around 5:30 every day.
Yeah.
Has for years, right? And so I had to force myself to go back to sleep. Well, how do you do that? When you get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, you make sure your windows are blacked out. You make sure the alarm is set for 9, 10, or 11 o'clock whenever you want to get up, rather than right. And so you set yourself up for success. Um, and if you don't do that, and you work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to struggle. Now I have to be with work. I have to be there by 6. So getting up at 3:15 is not a big deal. You know, for the longest time, going to bed at 9 o'clock was a big deal.
Yeah.
It's
So that
like,
you were rested. You
yes,
know,
and
I used to be a morning person, and I literally could. I could get by on 4 hours of sleep. I did it for years, and it wasn't until I got sick
mhm, yeah,
and then came home, and they're like, you need to rest, you need to recover. And I can get up in the mornings early, like if I've got a
mhm,
flight or I've got something I have to be to,
right,
but just setting the alarm for, say, 7, if I don't have any reason to actually be up and moving at 7, I don't always get up.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, exactly,
that's not a good, I mean, I guess it's not a bad habit, but it's not a good habit either.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and
On the
it's
other
just
hand, we often underestimate the power of sleep for healing.
right.
It's that they tell you to go home, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. That was always a joke, right?
Yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, go home, go to bed, take the 2 aspirin, and yeah, call me in the morning because you're supposed to be resting,
right.
right? And so, yeah, I don't, we can't ever underestimate the power of rest and sleep. And even those
And
mid-afternoon
yeah,
naps, you know, it's, yeah, I look at my great-granddaughter, and she fights a nap, okay? And she's so cute, and she was here, a week or so ago, and, I asked her, my granddaughter said, "Yeah, she'll let you know if she's tired and everything else." So I asked her, and she said, "Yes." So I put her down. She laid down for, like, 2 seconds, and she stands up and goes, "All done." That's her deal, "All done." And so I'm like, "You didn't take a nap. I'm not gonna get a nap." So and she was done. I
yeah,
picked her up,
yeah,
she played some more, she played until mom came home. And, uh, that was an interesting day. I can't remember, I think I know I got over 5,000, I think it was close to 8,000 steps in a, 20 by 20 area, chasing
right.
after her,
Because you're
which was
just
fine, I had a blast, right? But, the nap thing, and when the children are young, we try and get them down at the same time and everything else, and so we can help develop their sleeping habits. Then, when our careers are taking off, when we're 20s, 30s, even 40s, we're going, 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 going all the time. But I think the benefit of that, even a power nap,
yeah,
20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I find that if I get home before my wife gets home, before the kids start coming over and things like that, if I take that power nap for about 45 minutes to an hour, then I'm fine the rest of the night. If I don't, I'm dragging.
Yep.
So, so for those of you out there who are young and are fighting the nap, take it.
And sometimes that nap feeling is because of what we choose to eat
Mhm,
at lunch, especially if
mhm,
you're in a sedentary kind of job where you're sitting on the
yeah,
computer.
right.
Um, that blood sugar when it drops, I
Mhm,
used to have a horrible time with that.
yeah.
I'd be sitting at my computer and I'd find myself nodding off all the time
uh,
and found out I was hypoglycemic, so I learned how to
mhm,
eat around that. But we don't think about everything affects everything else,
yeah,
right? So,
right.
you know, I'm horrible. I breakfast is my cookies and cream Pop Tarts, my
Yeah.
my can of my favorite soda, and
Yep.
but then, and sometimes I eat lunch and sometimes I don't. It just depends
Right.
on how my day goes and whether I feel
Right.
I never really feel that hungry that I have to eat. But
Mhm,
then I go and I go traveling or I do something and now I'm not on my schedule anymore.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing about working with your habits and things is can they be flexible for when you're not in your normal situation? Can you do things in such a way that you get the same benefit?
Mhm,
You know, um, I think of, people go on diets and then they go on a cruise.
yeah. Yeah. No, not wise.
Years ago I worked with a lady that she had lost 100 pounds and her husband decided to celebrate that and they went on a cruise and it was like a 2-week cruise and
Ooh.
and she gained it all back and
Mhm,
she was mortified and I'm like because you spent the last however I don't know year and a
mhm,
half 2 years living in a structured environment where you controlled the food you saw
mhm.
and back then when you were on a cruise everything was the 24-hour buffet.
Oh, yeah.
Food was always available.
Yep. Yep.
And when you don't have that structure in place, how are you going to keep your good habit going?
Right. Right.
So it's not just the habit that you're changing and building, it's the structure and the bones that go with it.
Right.
Can you make that doable for when you're not in your ideal situation? You know,
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. We went on a 7-dayer cruise, and we determined beforehand, um, that no late night buffet, none of and we also decided that we're going to keep our steps somewhere around 15 to 20,000. Now that's easy to do on a ship,
yeah,
you know. Um, you can sit by the pool, go to the buffet, go to bed, get up, sit by the pool,
yeah,
and you're going to gain 7 to 10 pounds. They say 2 to 3 pounds per day
yeah.
if you're sedentary with it. We both gained 2 pounds, I think, over the 14 days.
Well,
Um,
that's not bad at all.
yeah, and so and part of that was we made a conscious effort to get our steps in every day. And on a cruise ship, you can wait for the elevator or you can take stairs.
Hmm.
And if you've ever been on a cruise, busy times at the elevator, you're obviously going to be able to get downstairs long before the elevator, your turn in
That's
the
right.
elevator. And so we did a lot of stairs, and we were on the second deck, and which was phenomenal, by the way. And but that was a predetermination based on our personal habits here.
Right.
We set our dining time for the time that we normally eat here. Um, Same thing with breakfast and our morning coffee and everything. We did it at the same time that we would do it at home. I think the only difference that we did was on the dinner menu, if there was something we had never eaten, that's what we got. We did do low
Right.
sodium. We had them do everything low sodium, except for my wife's cocktail sauce. They brought out shrimp cocktail with no cocktail sauce because we had told them low sodium.
Mm.
And she says, no, 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 got to have the cocktail sauce. So, but you have to learn to do it a little bit at a time. It's not going to stick, I guess.
Right.
If you try to do one big thing and you don't stack your habits, if you don't look at it, look at it like, what's the old saying? How do you eat an elephant? One
One
bite at
bite
a
at a
time.
time.
And that's how you change your habits. And I think that it's easily done if you follow a process and a procedure. James Clear wrote an excellent book called Atomic Habits. I don't
Yeah.
remember the gentleman that wrote Tiny Habits. Um,
I don't either. But I think the other mistake people make is they try to change more than one habit at a time.
yes, yes.
And breaking a habit is a pretty intensive
Hmm.
deal.
Hmm.
Um, don't like quit smoking and quit drinking at the same time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
don't don't give up chocolate and another favorite food at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah.
And for me, like I tried giving up because I'm a chocoholic.
My wife.
Um, my mom said she was filling her filling herself up on M&Ms when she was pregnant with me because I love M&Ms. Um,
There you go.
so I tried just giving up chocolate because my mom she was so busy at work that she wouldn't have time for a regular meal, so she was just living on the candy bars out of the vending machine.
Hmm.
And the only change she made is she quit eating chocolate bars and she lost 40 pounds in a year.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought, okay, you know, maybe I should just give up the chocolate because I was heavy you know, and I did about a week and then I just went on this big huge binge.
Binge.
And so what I learned from that is, okay, I can't give up the chocolate, but maybe I just have one dose a day,
Yeah.
you know. So
Mhm.
I have, I try to have little chocolatey snacks around the house so I can have a little candy bar or I can have my big thing right now is the dark chocolate sea salt caramels.
Oh, 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 oh. Yes,
Yeah.
they're excellent.
Oh,
Do you have an Aldi near you?
not all these. We have Costco and they're so good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen them at Costco. Aldi's has them and they're oh,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway.
But
Yep,
you know, and then, try to keep it down to a dull roar and not consume 20 of them before I go to bed at night so that I'm awake all
right,
night.
right. Yeah, I had to this last batch that we bought, I limited myself to 2 a day. I'm still not sure how I did that, but they're just so good.
And I
So,
think some of it comes with age.
yeah,
I think as we get older, when we decide we're changing habits, we take a lot of the shame out of it
mhm,
that
mhm,
we carried when we were younger,
mhm,
you know. Um, and I also think as we get older, we're more willing to make changes instead of
yeah,
having them thrust upon us.
mhm,
So, and I'm not saying that very clearly, but
yeah, no, I understand. There's a lot of times when we're younger, people force us to make a change.
yeah.
Mhm,
And we think, it sounds like a good idea. We'll do it,
mhm,
but we're not really invested
yeah,
in the change. And like anything else, you've got to be all in.
mhm,
It's they're habits for a reason because you don't think about them. So you have to be willing to
right,
do that extra work to think about what you're
yeah,
getting ready to do or
mhm,
eat. and have that conversation with yourself. Is this the best thing for me right now?
Yeah.
Or
But,
what do I want
you
to
know, and
replace this with?
you take a look at diets. You talk to people who've gone on diets. You make a huge change to go on whatever the diet is. You can, whatever, you name your poison. Well, it's huge. It's out of the ordinary, and people crash on them. You know, they crash and burn. There was one, I can't remember what it was called, but you would order your food ahead of time, and you're only allowed so much. But if you've been eating steak and potatoes and vegetables and salad and soup and a dessert, and then you get on one of these meal plans or these diets that say you can have this much um, meat and this that much potato. It's not going to work. First off, you have to learn to notice when you're full.
Yes.
I think that's one of the first things when you decide you want to change your eating habits, because that's what most a lot of folks, they just eat even after they're full. So,
Well,
but
you know,
it's
the older ones like us and older, we grew up in the Clean Plate Club.
clean your plate club. Yes,
There's starving children in Africa. Eat your
yes,
food.
yeah.
Like
Biggest
if
trouble I
I,
got in was, well, send it to them.
yeah, it's like if I, like me eating this is helping them survive. No, it's not.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think the thing that worked best for me was, I mean, it was horrendously simple, and I still do it most of the time. And back then, portions were large.
Yeah.
I would automatically, when I ordered something, I would ask for a box, and I would
Mhm.
immediately put half of it away.
Yeah.
And that worked wonders. If I
Yeah.
put it in the box and set it off to the side, then I didn't have this humongous amount of food to eat.
In front of me.
Portions
Yeah.
may not be as big depending where you go now to
Right.
do that, but if you can, if you've been told to clean your plate and that's a habit you can't break, then help yourself by removing some of it
Right.
from your plate, put it somewhere else
Mhm.
so
What
that
what
you
Rita and
can
I do a
clean the
lot,
plate.
we know the restaurants that have huge portions,
Yeah,
not many of them left, but we'll decide, okay, this is what we want, and then we'll split it,
yeah,
you know? And we did find one restaurant that we like to go to, um, and they had very large portions, and um, so we liked the soup that they served every day, and sometimes she would get a salad, and then we'd split the meal. They started charging a plate charge. No, it wasn't very much, but to me, it's the principle. You
yeah,
know, we we're neither one of us can eat the whole thing,
right.
and for our health and well-being, this is what we want to do. So we quit going there. So for their $2 or $3 or $4, whatever it was they were charging for a plate charge, if you split a meal, they don't have any of our business now. So
Yeah,
just things like that. But habits can be broken. New habits can be learned, but you have to stack them. You have to. I would strongly recommend either Tiny Habits or Atomic Habits by James
yeah,
Clear. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. Linda and I have both been there, done that. Balancing Act 2024 at gmail.com is how you can reach us. Reach us through our Facebook pages. You make a comment or leave a question or something. We'll get back to you. But we really truly can't. Most people cannot make huge major changes and stick to whatever that change is. There
right.
has to be there has to be a process. So, Linda, do you have any final thoughts for today?
Just give yourself grace, be kind to yourself.
Hmm.
When you're changing habits, it's hard. Don't beat yourself up. You don't
Yeah,
that
there's
and for some of us, that's one of the habits.
yeah, the guilt. Yeah, there's no guilt in trying to improve,
No, no. Give
and
yourself
you're
grace
going.
and just stay
Yeah,
the course.
Yep, stay the course. That's a good one. Stay the course. Well, thank you, Linda. This has been great. Folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.